let's get into this because I feel like this is going to be a long topic.
It is. Welcome to podcast 11, guys. This is How to Thrive Living Alone in London by 2 experts. I'm Holly.
And I'm Amelia, and welcome to Where in My Money's podcast. So, as Holly said, we are going to deep dive into the topic, living on our own. We're going to give you an introduction of our circumstances. And also as well, we want to do this because we want to show the benefits of it and how we're enjoying it and how we're finding out a lot about ourselves and just the ups and downs and everything in between. So we hope you enjoy this.
And we feel like this topic of conversation has been coming up a lot amongst ourselves and our friends. And I think people are like a little bit more in their feelings about living alone and realising all the responsibilities that it comes with and the pressure.
Exactly. And I think as well, especially when it's come to this, I don't know if it's become more of a thing now because we're at an age where you are either living on your own, kind of wanting to move out of living with mates because we're getting to the age of 30 and everyone around you is getting married, having kids, buying houses with their partners, and I feel like that can bring so much emotions. And it's really, really good.
It can be
interesting,
really overwhelming, and we just thought that this topic might be helpful if any of you are in the current situation or you just want something to relate to and realise that you're not alone.
Because you're not, sweetie. You've got us.
So we're going to a little backstory of how we ended up living alone. Amelia, do you want to go first?
Okay. I mean, there's a bit of a, I guess, it was a very sad reason why I moved in on my own, to say the least. Now coming up to 2 years, I want to say. Maybe 2 years, 2 Septembers ago. So just under 2 years, I broke up with my long-term partner, and I was in a situation where I was a bit confused because obviously, like we've said, we've gotten to an age where it's like I thought I was going to move in. We were looking at buying houses. We were at a stage where we'd been together for so long. We were together for like 11 years. And I
felt like the future was set in stone.
Yeah, my mind was ready to settle down, ready for the engagement, ready to think about the house we're going to buy, saving for mortgages. I was very ready to have kids probably now if we would have stayed together, and then it all kind of fell through to say the least. So I was in a position where I had to either live on my own, move back in with my parents, or none of my friends were in a position to move in with me either, so I would then either have to find roommates, and I really didn't want to, especially come to this age, especially with like how traumatic my journey was. I think the last thing I could have thought of was living with strangers, and especially with the job we have. Both of us work for ourselves, we work in our homes. This is our studio, Exhibit D, because we film, we do, obviously you do your modelling, we edit, we do everything at home. And finding a housemate, finding a place to live which was a studio setup.
That's like aesthetically pleasing, has good lighting, and then also I guess trying to find housemates that are going to be out all day so that you have the freedom to create your content at home without like having to bother anyone or without anyone being in your way.
Exactly, because you can't really tell them to stop or shut up or excuse
me, can you not sit on the sofa and watch TV because I actually need to do some
It's
work.
more as well, like my partner, he was on meetings 24/7 and I couldn't get any work done unless he left the house, and that was near to the end of our relationship when he started going into the office because they were allowed to, but they had to book in time to go. There wasn't enough, and not enough space for all of the employees to be there together. So it was really tricky, and I just thought I can't be in this situation again with a stranger. So I compared living with roommates, also living at home, and then looking at the price of living on my own, and then all of a sudden this popped up, and I was very fortunate because obviously I have a great neighbour. But that's how I ended up living on my own. And I thought also as well, I think I really wanted to be on my own, and I think I was just itching to have my own space, and I felt like I was at an age and very grateful at a financial situation where I could afford to live on my own.
But had you done the whole living with friends before you moved in with your ex?
So I did university, which was 6 girls, which was just, I mean, it was amazing because they're my best friends, but intense. And then I moved in with one of my best friends, Helena, and that was to Clapham. And that was really good. She was like the best roommate. She was very, very calm. I don't think Helena could even hurt a fly. Like, she's so sweet, very patient, and she was incredible to live with. We had a little office as well, which was amazing. So that was her office. So it meant that I could shut her in the office. And then I had the rest of the house to do my bedroom, the kitchen, the lounge. Like, I was very fortunate with that. And then, I moved in with my ex for 6 months. And
so it was only 6 months that you guys lived together?
Yeah. Just a quick tip. If you're in a long-term relationship, move in with your partner straight away.
I think...
Because that's a big test, to say the least.
Yeah.
So yes, I ended up moving in on my own, and I'm really happy I've done so. What about you?
Well, mine was kind of similar situation. I was living with an ex. We broke up, so we had to find alternative living. Then it just so happened that COVID came about, so I kind of got stuck. And I moved back in with my parents.
With him?
No. I left the flat that we were in. Yeah. I went to Bali for a month.
Oh.
I came back, and as I was looking for flats, I was either looking with friends or alone.
Yeah.
COVID happened. Oh. So I was at my parents' house during COVID. Yeah. And then it was only after like COVID started lifting that I was like weighing up the options like you about like living with friends. I didn't really have a lot of friends that needed like a housemate, and I really wanted to be independent, and I wanted my own space.
Yeah.
Because I'd lived with girlfriends, which was so much fun. I lived with my two of my best friends, Caroline and Heather, and we had this house called the Pink House, and it was just like a rotation of girls. Yeah. That would like, a girl would move out, a new friend would move in, like it was always so much fun.
So there was an extra room, or was it just
there was three rooms? Yeah. But like our friendship group, so many of the girls in that group had at one point lived in that house, and then like moved out with partners. Yeah. So I flew the nest. I think I only lasted about, I think it must have been 6-7 months as well. So it wasn't very long with your ex. No. And I think it's because, you probably do see true colours a lot sooner. So, moved out, went to Bali, moved in with my parents for COVID. And then I was like, do you know what? I'm going to take the risk, and I'm going to live alone, which was really scary, especially financially. But I thought, I can do this. Yeah. And I believed in myself. And I've been living alone for 3 years now. Yeah, wow. Which is a long time.
It is a long time, honey. I'm in my 2nd year, and it's definitely tested me with feeling lonely. Yeah. Like, I loved it. Well, not loved it the first year. The first year was healing. But this year is kind of like, okay, I'm enjoying it, trying to enjoy it, but where's my boyfriend?
Do you know what? I thought that when I moved out alone, I was like, I cannot wait to have my own space. I'm going to host dinner parties all the time. I'm going to have my friends around. I'm going to have parties. Yeah. I'm like, I can't wait to just like meet guys and just be like, come around. I can probably... I don't even need a whole hand to count how many men have been round here. Neither. I think I've had like a handful of dinner parties.
We need to change this. We need to do more. Yeah. Because we're good little hostess, little chefs.
We are, but then the thing is, like, because it's your home, you care so much about it that you're like, I'm not going to ruin my house. No, I'll go to someone else's house. And it kind of becomes like your sanctuary, doesn't it?
I do love our homes. So, we are very fortunate as well with our apartments.
As much
so
as you
beautiful.
think it's going to be like this crazy party house and woohoo, independence, freedom, and you can do what you want when you want, I think you kind of become a little bit of a hermit.
And this is when all the cons come in.
What would you say is the best part about living alone?
I think as well, I don't know what the terminology is or what's the right terminology. I think I'm an extroverted introvert. So that means I love people and I love being around people, but I love to come and have my own space and recharge. Yeah. So when I've said goodbye to everybody, I can just close the door and I have my place to myself. Yeah. And it's so nice sometimes, like cooking for yourself. You've done all that, you know, when you like clean the whole house and it's all fresh
and it's pristine, and then it's just for you to live and enjoy in it. Yeah, I would agree in terms of like, I love waking up in the morning and there's just like no one to bother me. Yeah, I can get at my own pace, do what I want to do.
But now I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I can have my coffee in bed, and I also like the social aspect of, I always look forward to coming home, which I know is such a luxury to be able to say, because I'm very lucky to have this roof over my head. But yeah, I think it is because it's my sanctuary that I actually look forward to coming home, which is so nice.
Yeah, like it's such a... I say it every time I do my journaling, and one of my main things when I say like, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? And most of the time I say my home, because like you said, we are so fortunate and so lucky to have such beautiful spaces and spaces that we feel like is our home and so comfortable and
I also love just being in control of everything, like having everything exactly how I want it.
Yeah.
There's no one to have their other stuff around.
No.
I think that's a pro and a con, because I think right now it's a pro, it's what I love about living alone. But I think it's a con later down the line, because we're going to have to adjust that mentality.
Do you know what though? I think that when we do find our partners, it won't be a chore and it won't be like such a con. Like,
I don't think it will be a con, but I think it will take a lot of adjusting.
Yeah, definitely take a lot of adjusting for sure. Yeah. But I feel like the right person, it will just happen and work kind of naturally.
Yeah. So what about the worst part of living alone?
Doing everything.
I was going to say the same.
Paying rent on your own.
Yeah.
That is the bane of my life.
All
like
the
bills, everything else. I don't. Do you know what? The cleaning. Sometimes I don't mind. Sometimes it can be a lot when it's like really busy.
Yeah.
But I actually find it very therapeutic. Like it's kind of a way to actually. I think everything off of line, off of your phone, is therapeutic. Like cooking and cleaning.
I do just think there is so much responsibility, and this came up in conversation with one of our friends as well, that we were saying, why do I get so overwhelmed all the time? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's because I'm trying to work. I live in my home. So once I've done like my job and I've finished filming, it's then just like a bomb has hit it in here.
Yeah.
And so I'm then having to tidy up, and I'm kind of like living and working in the same space, which I think is quite a lot. It's quite intense sometimes.
It is, for sure.
And then all the other responsibilities, like the cleaning and cooking for myself.
But at least it's just yourself. Do you get what I mean?
But sometimes it would be nice to have the responsibilities shared.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, don't worry, I got dinner tonight. I've done dinner.
True.
Don't worry, I've taken the bins out. Don't worry, I've put the washing on.
I've done the bills.
Whereas I'm like, oh, you've got to do it all. Everything.
Yeah, I actually have to write a list, because sometimes in my head it's just too much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I need to do the bedding. When's bin day? When's dinner? When's this? When's that? And it's just like, it's just a lot, isn't it?
It is a lot. Whereas I think when you live with someone else, you often share responsibilities like that. Like someone will always know when bin day is, and you'll always know the answer for something else.
Yeah. See, with my ex, I did everything in the end. It was really sad. So I was kind of like very excited to live on my own, because I literally was doing everything for 2 people, and it was a lot. And then when I moved here, I was like, do it.
Maybe we should start looking for that on Hinge profiles. Can cook, clean, run a household.
Oh, my
tick.
I have a list. Have I shown you my list?
No.
My description list. And it's like a good conversation starter, because I'm not asking for much, you know.
Oh, your list on Hinge. I think you have shown me this. I thought you just had like a list on your notes.
I said, the way to win me over. You're funny, kind, lovely family and friends, loves to travel, loves nights out and loves nights at home, loves to cook, just looking for a sweet Karen soul. That's all. That's all. That is all.
Yeah, we want someone that can run a household.
Messages me and goes, "Han, I'm on my way home. Do we need anything?
Yeah.
What's for dinner
Just
tonight?
use your initiative. Like,
I'll cook.
Otherwise, it's like you're not ready to not live at home. You need to go back to mummy and daddy's, because you're not ready for this life.
Honestly, the one big vein. The toilet seat up.
Why do they do
Put it
that?
down. Put it down.
The gutter man.
Oh, it is the gutter man, isn't it? But I guess as well, obviously living on our own, I actually do feel really safe in our apartments.
I do.
I guess that could be quite a scary thing, living on your own, because it's that security blanket that someone's always there and going to bed. When I lived in Notting Hill, I was in a basement flat, and that did feel very uncomfortable, where these feel just ridiculously secure.
Yeah.
Like, once I was very drunk, and I slept with my apartment unlocked, but I knew I was so safe because our neighbours and we were just it's very drunk. Any other cons?
I don't think so. I think that's my main one, is just like not having anyone to share bills with and responsibility.
We have a very great situation where we have our own space, but we are neighbours.
Have each other. So So it never gets too, like you never feel like you're alone. And I also chose an area to live in where I know a lot of my friends are based around here. Because I've done it before where I've lived in areas of London that I just don't know anyone there. Like I've never even been to the area. I've just seen a place online and I'm like, that looks nice. Yeah, I'll live there. Without thinking... It's also about like your surrounding environment.
100%.
And so that was really, really important for me when I chose to live here, is that I knew I had at least 5 friends that were literally all in this area. So I would never feel alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important. And if you're looking to move alone, don't just go and look for a pretty flat or a pretty house.
Make sure the location is great.
That's what's made it really feel like home here for me.
I also think a good thing is to find close things around you that you would enjoy.
Yeah.
So like classes, cafes, parks, the train station. Like make sure the location of the property is in a good environment. There's no point being somewhere where you have to get the train and then 30-minute bus, because no one will go to you and you'll never leave, because it'll be such an effort.
So it's like I live alone, but I actually never really feel that lonely because I know how close people are to me. Yeah. Whereas other places I've lived, I've gone home and I've literally just felt like a million miles away from anyone and so isolated, and that's a really horrible feeling.
Definitely.
What have you learned from living alone?
I feel like I'm in my learning era from living on my own right now, because I feel like last year was a bit of a mind boggle, so that was just kind of like a surviving year.
Yeah.
This year definitely, I think last year as well, because was the first year living on my own, I think I was in this like flight state where I was like panicking and overworking and doing so much and not actually enjoying it, because I was so focused on surviving living on my own and being able to afford living on my own. I just didn't...
You never really just kind of looked at your surroundings and thought...
Yeah, like I didn't really enjoy it.
Took time to enjoy it.
Yeah, but now I do really enjoy it, and I think what I do love is that I'm such a homebody. So I love cooking, I love making sure the house is clean. It's definitely been a learning curve to stop and to learn how to enjoy like little things on my own.
Yeah.
So even like trying to take myself on solo dates or making a nice experience of doing things on my own. So like even
romanticizing life, living
like
alone.
Cooking, like I treat myself now to like some really nice fish, or like, because usually I'd save that for a partner and things like that, where now I'm just like, this is probably the only time hopefully I'll live on my own. So now I'm like romanticising it and enjoying it and putting on that movie instead of waiting for someone, and cooking that dinner and running the bath and fresh sheets, and I just love it. I do love it.
That sounds gorgeous.
I know. Why do we want to live?
I wish I had a bath. I have a shower and Amelia has a bath / shower. It's like a shower in the bath, isn't it? I'm quite envious of that.
You were given the opportunity to move
Well,
in.
I do have a bottle of wine that is half empty that I need to finish, and I could have a soak in the bath tonight.
You could. You are more than welcome to pop round, honey.
I think so.
We do need to cook.
You could sit on a little chair next to the bath.
Pour the wine.
And pour the wine. I remember when my one of my best friends, Rose, and I used to live together, and she had a bath and a separate shower, and one of us would have a bath and one of us would have a shower, and we would just be like chatting away.
Yeah, I did love when we lived in Bali. I know I say we lived, we pretty much were there for a month, so we lived. I loved having our time together, like just silly things. Like I think that's where it does get lonely, where when we lived together, waking up, someone would go and get the coffee. Yeah. We were the best partners.
We were. We were so understanding of each other.
And we
shared all the responsibilities.
Yeah. If someone was up first, they'd go and get the coffee.
Yeah. We figured out how the system worked.
No. You knew how the system worked.
I knew if I woke up first, I'd have to go and make the coffee, so I'd always like stay asleep until
to be fair,
I'd have one eye open and I'd be like, she's up.
I get all fidgety and just I have a natural alarm clock where I just wake up. So I'm always like, I dream that someone will wake up before me and make me coffee, but it just doesn't.
I think it's so important to kind of go through those eras if you're fortunate enough to be able to. Going through the stages of like living with girlfriends or living with guy friends, living alone, living with a partner, because they're some of like my favourite memories.
Yeah, you've got to enjoy them.
Of when I like lived with friends, especially because you do just have those little moments together where often you're just like crying with laughter
over the most ridiculous things. I loved living with Helena. That was like, it was literally just out of lockdown. So it was I think we moved in just before the third lockdown. So, you know, it was around like New Year's, Christmas.
Yeah.
So that's when we moved into Clapham, and we weren't really allowed to see anybody. So it was just us. But we had so much fun. We made so many like plans with each other, and you can do this on your own as well. But like Thursday would be Jackie P night, so we'd do Jackie potato and tuna and red wine, and then on like Friday we'd do takeaway night, and then Saturday we'd cook together because she's a big chef.
It always seems a lot like lighter hearted, I think, when you live with friends than when you do with a partner, because you do stuff like that and it's just like, I don't know why, it just seems like less intense. It's just fun.
I wonder if like sometimes with a partner you try so hard for it to be so good.
Yeah.
And it ends up being so forced.
Yeah, because with friends it's just like, oh, you can't do Jackie P night, oh whatever, because you're going on a date, like, cool, have fun. I think it's
a bit more of a sensitive subject.
Yeah,
like, you don't want to hang out with me,
doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely something I'd definitely take into my next relationship.
Do you think it's maybe because you also, in our heads, like subconsciously, we realise that we won't be living with that friend forever, so you really just enjoy the moment and you're so much more free-spirited about it, whereas when you're with a partner, I guess naturally it just feels more serious because you're kind of like,
it's a bit more it's
supposed to be forever, isn't it?
It's a bit of a different relationship, isn't it? Because with a girlfriend, you can't really have that reaction that you maybe would with your partner.
Yeah.
Like, if you annoyed me, I'd be like, it's okay. But if it was my partner, I'd be like, well, that annoyed me.
Yeah, and then you'd have an argument about it.
So it's like a different relationship.
Yeah, slightly more boundaries maybe, and that's why. I do think sometimes with partners we lose our boundaries.
100%. And kind of that respect that you do have for your friends. You make so much effort with friends to not upset them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the partner, sometimes, I mean, I don't think I did, but like I can see it like from my ex's situation where he would let me down so much because it was like, oh well we live with each other now, like I'll just see her when I get home.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned from living alone is really like rooting my independence.
Yeah,
kind of that like knowing I've got myself.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't need a partner, or I don't need anyone to help me or to be where I want to be. I can do it alone.
It is definitely a massive confidence growth living on your own.
I've been in situations before with exes where they've held things over me, financial things, and kind of threatened my safety in terms of having a roof over my head, or like materialistic possessions that they had purchased for both of us, but then held it against me in an argument, which I think is just awful, by the way. Don't do that. But
don't.
Because of that, it's made me so much more independent now that I'm like, well, no, I own all of this. I don't own the building, but I own like everything inside this flat, and I pay the rent, and I'm the only one ensuring that all of this is going like clockwork.
So it's quite nice that because I guess some people would look at going into a relationship more so for the financial kind of, or not wanting to leave a relationship for the financial like perspective of it.
And I think that's scary, and now I know when I enter my next relationship, financial stability.
Yeah.
I was looking for, would not keep me within a relationship, because I know I've done it alone once and I can do it alone again.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Especially being freelance as well, and not knowing what's coming in every month or every year.
And don't get me wrong, like we totally get it that not every salary, like let's be honest, salaries in London are horrific at the moment, and the rent in London is extortionate, and I do understand that the basic salary that a lot of people are on, you can't afford to live in a flat alone. But maybe this is there to encourage you to build towards that or work towards that.
Yeah, I think when I moved in on my own, I do hope that I'm only here for a certain amount of years.
Oh, I mean, honey, I don't want to be here forever.
No.
Single cat lady.
No, I think maximum 3 years, if I can.
I don't think you can put a time frame on when you're going to meet someone, though.
I know, but
you can't put that pressure on yourself.
I know, but I just don't want to live on, like, the burden of living on my own. Like,
I don't
as
think
much as I
anyone
enjoy
really
it,
does.
no.
It's just a situation that we're in, and if you're in it, you may as well thrive while you're in it.
Amen, sweetie. No, I am enjoying it and I love it, but there's like a part of me also like, this is only going to be for a little while, especially when it comes to the London rental prices.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm so sick and tired of doing this alone. This is like, I'll be going into my 4th year of doing this alone, and it's a lot. I would love to have someone to share the responsibilities with and someone to live with, but I think what I've benefited from this situation is knowing that I can do it alone and I'm fine.
Exactly. I'd love to buy next year. That would be my goal.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm happy living on my own. It's more the financial side of it.
Yeah.
It just gets to me just a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit more security.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of, we want to speak about the financial burdens of living alone and how we personally deal with it. There is a whole pole outside my window.
Oh, it's a window cleaner.
No, they're cleaning the gutters.
Thank goodness they are coming round to clean the gutters.
Or maybe they are cleaning the windows as well. I want my windows cleaning.
I know, my windows really need cleaning.
But we have to pay for that. It doesn't come with the rent. It's a separate thing. That's why I've never had my windows cleaned in the 3 years I've been here, because I'm like, I don't know how much it is, but however much it is, I could spend that on a I don't know, pair of shoes.
I cleaned one of my windows. I like popped myself out of it because there is like a level, so if I fall I'll be okay. But I was literally just like leaning out.
Independent women here. We don't even need a window cleaner. We can do that ourselves.
I don't need a one.
But if you want to do it,
could you do it?
You can go
ahead. Mine as well, please, sweetie.
It's just even learning like how to pay your bills and how to deal with all stuff like that. How to liaise with landlords and estate agents or letting agents, and just generally.
It's another job.
It really prepares you for a bright future.
You sound like an advert.
Live alone.
So come and join us and live alone.
So yeah, the financial burden of living alone. And because this is your first time living alone, I know that you put quite a lot of financial stress on yourself, because you have gone from sharing bills with someone to then doing it alone. How did that affect you? How did you deal with it? Did you budget?
So I've always been like personally a very big saver. From day dot of earning money, I think I've always been very good with, even when I went to university, like I remember my business studies teacher told me to never get a student loan because she was like, you will be always in debt to pay that $2,000 back.
Yeah.
And I remember my friends having to literally spend years paying it back because it was one of those things where it's like, oh, I'll just dip in again. Oh, I'll just dip in again. And so I saved up the $2,000 and basically made my own little pocket. So I was really proud of that. And then from then on, I think as well, I saw my parents go through like the recessions. So I think I've always had a bit of what I know everyone does, like a bit of a massive anxiety when it came to finance, especially seeing that my parents lose quite a lot. So I've been very always like quite, I mean, I like to spend my money, as you can see from our apartments. We like to live the high life, but I've always been very savvy, I guess, with money. Via university, I used to pay for the full 3 years. I was the one in charge of the rent, all the bills. Everyone would like, I'd have my own separate bank account for the house, and everyone would just put it in there. And so I kind of slowly...
You've always been pretty organised and on it with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then. I'm more of like wing it and hope everything's going to be
someone
fine
else
kind
will
of
do
girl.
it. So I did that, and then following that I went on to doing that in my first year with Helena, and obviously with my ex. And I think because I've always had that set up, I think I knew what I was going to do, how it all worked, and it was actually quite nice having one account. That's what I would recommend if you like to see it all separate. I have an account for savings, for personal, for business, and for the house and tax, so I can see where everything is. So I can see that I've been saving for each bit.
So when you get paid for jobs, do you just put a bit of money in each pot?
Pretty much, yeah. So I put 25% away in my tax account, so that when it comes up to my tax, then I have enough. Like last year I had more than enough, so we were able to go to Bali for the second time. So I think I've always been very careful with just putting things away. And then when it came to living on my own, obviously I didn't have the help of someone else financially. So what I have been doing is, and I know this is I can do this because of my income, but also my savings as well. I put 6 months away, half of my rent. Does that make sense?
You mean you pay 6 months up front?
I pay half of 6 months up front.
Okay.
So then I only have to pay half every month.
So say for example your rent is £2,000 a month. Amelia's saying she would have already paid off £1,000 a month for the next 6 months.
So I would only have to pay £1,000 every month.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like I can live a bit more.
Yeah.
And enjoy my money and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's helped a lot, because then when it comes to tax, when it comes to holidays, just like normal things like buying a coffee and things like that, it's not such a burden and such a stress, and it feels like a little bit of a relief. So I have always, no one has to do this, people can do direct debit and things like that, but for me in my head, knowing I've done that helped so much, especially in the first year when I really didn't know what I was doing and if I could afford it, because being freelance as well
just takes that financial stress off a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I do. What about you?
Well, it took me a long time, and I'm only just realising it this year, is that I cannot spend money like I used to when I was living at home or sharing rent. Like when I just used to spend £800 a month on rent, and that was it.
The dream.
I used to buy a new designer bag, like every few months. I was constantly buying
what we would buy right now if we shared rent.
Yeah. And I realised I just can't do that anymore.
No.
And I think you have to say to yourself, I'm sacrificing materialistic things. And I put it on materialistic things so much more because of our careers. So we always want the new thing. We always need a new bag. Yeah, it's like our hobby as well. I've sacrificed that aspect because I'm so happy and I'm so content living here. So that money that I would spend on the bag and stuff, I'm spending it on my home,
and your
which
mentality.
in turn is an investment in my career, because I use my home to create content that I get paid for.
Yes, exactly.
So I really had to work on that mentality, because I was very used to not worrying about money and being able to buy things whenever I wanted, and going into Gucci and just being like, yeah, I'll have that.
I mean, you still kind of do,
honey. I still do, but then I have anxiety when I get home, and I do sometimes return things.
I remember bumping into you once on the high street, and you had the 2 big Gucci bags, and I was like, has Mum come down?
Yeah, I'm very used to being quite a big spender. I have savings, but I have learnt that I need to be a little bit more responsible.
Yeah.
And budget for things more, and just be a little bit more organised with when bills are coming out and things like that. I personally, when my bills come out, prefer to pay it in one. For example, like my council tax. I know a lot of people do it by direct debit, so it comes out every month. Yeah. But I'm like, if I can
get it over and done with,
I'll just pay the lump sum.
Then it's done.
And then it's done. A bit like you halving your rent.
Yeah.
Because I just think, well, that's one less thing coming out every month, and that is just done.
Yeah.
And then I can see how much money I have for other things.
Yeah.
I also think living alone can push you more career-wise.
I think it makes you feel, when they say nothing good comes out of your comfort, nothing good
complacent
comes in your comfort zone. You need to be out of your comfort zone to really go for things. Like, something has to scare you for you to really push. Like, when it's just after Christmas and you've eaten so much, no one's more motivated than that person who's like eating all the celebrations.
January.
Literally. And then everyone just kind of dies out. But like, it's so true. Like, I think it has really pushed me to work, especially whilst we're at this age and we're single. We might as well do it now and get going and be so successful that we are rich men. I want to be my own rich man. I mean, a rich man would help.
Can I have both?
Can I have both, please? No, yeah, definitely so true. It's definitely a big motivator for sure when it comes to career. Habits we have formed living alone. So, Holes, you've lived alone for a while. You're the expert here. Are you worried about sharing with someone again?
I am, yes. because I notice that when people come round now, I'm even a bit like uptight with things. I'm like, that doesn't go there. What are you doing? Why have you done that? Don't touch this, don't touch that. I try not to say it out loud, but I think it comes across on my face.
Is it because someone's come into your space?
I think I am a little bit OCD. I don't like to use that word lightly, but we're both very much like clean freaks, and everything's very tidy, everything's very organised. So that does worry me a little bit, having someone, like having to share a space with someone. I think if I moved into a new apartment with someone, and then we created the living environment together, it would be different.
Yeah.
But I think if someone came into this space, it's almost a bit like I'd be quite possessive.
I think that's quite normal
about the space.
I think that's a normal thing, you know.
Yeah, I think I'd have to have a fresh start.
Yeah, I think I would as well. I think I'd want to move out and like have a new beginning with that person.
For sure. I think my morning routine is quite tough. I've noticed if people stay round, I'm a bit like, ugh, can you go?
Yeah.
Because
I'm an early bird and I feel really guilty if they're not early birds.
Oh, I don't feel guilty. I'm just like, I want my time and I want to have my coffee, sit in bed. I like to go to the bathroom. You know, I don't want that interrupted.
Yeah.
So that's,
we had a good routine in Bali.
We did, but we're girls, so that's different.
So true, so true.
That's different. But yeah, I think it's probably just being very comfortable in my space.
Do you know what I think would be good? Is that, as we say, we are very clean people. But there's sometimes I'll just leave stuff and it actually motivates me to clean more if I have a friend round or something like that. Do you get what I mean?
That's so true.
So
when someone says I'm coming round, I'm like
spotless. Yeah. It makes me do the whole shebang. Like for example, the other day when I came in and I was like, what has happened?
Amelia came in, right? This was so bad. I don't think the place has ever been so bad.
It was bank holiday weekend.
It wasn't dirty. It was just messy because I had changed my bed sheets. And they hadn't fully dried, so I get them out the tumble dryer before they're fully dry, and I hang them on the door so that the creases drop out, and then you don't need to iron your bed sheets. And they wasn't quite dry, and I was like, well, I can't put them on the bed. I also came home quite drunk. Steaming. And so the bed wasn't made, everything was a mess. I may have slept on the sofa.
I literally came in and I was like, what? Who slept round? What's going on?
It gives me the ick sleeping in the bed without the bed sheets on. Even though my bed is clean.
No, 100%.
But I just think it's so wrong.
No, I know. I do agree with that.
Yeah. So
it was funny. I came in and I was like, what has happened?
Yeah, I was in and out all weekend, and I think I probably had filming stuff everywhere, and it was just a mess. And she knocked on the door, and I was like, I'm really, really sorry about the mess. Please don't judge me.
I didn't judge. I was just a bit concerned.
Have you formed any habits living alone that you wouldn't necessarily do if you were living with someone else? What about like the scrolling on your phone?
Oh my god, that is... do you know what? This is the one thing I really miss about living with someone is the winding down side of the day, because there's no one to wind down to. Wine and wined and dined. I then just scroll, I work, and then I've got no one to talk to.
Yeah.
So I put the TV on, and then I'll be in bed, put my phone on charge, and I go, just quickly check something. And then I'm scrolling again.
Yeah.
And that is probably, and I know I should be reading a book, and I have done, but again, I read a book, and then I'm like, just quickly 10 minutes.
I do exactly the same.
It's awful, but if I have someone in the house with me, like for sleepovers, I don't go on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't even touch it. Even with my my ex, I remember I was so good with my phone in the evening. Sometimes, obviously, on occasion, I'd go on my phone, but I'd really make an effort to like sit and watch a program together, and we both have to make an effort to know what's going on. And it was just that learning how to switch off on your own is so hard.
I do exactly the same thing.
So hard.
Do you know what I love about my parents? Every time I stay at my parents' house, they have this routine where they make, like what we did in Bali, one of them makes a coffee, and then they sit in bed with their coffees, and they just sit there and they just like chat and stuff, and I'm like, that's really nice.
Very
because
cute.
I do that, but because I'm alone, I go on my phone, and it could be 5 a.m. and I've woken up and I'm like, oh, on Instagram, or I'll start editing, or things like that. And I do think if I had a partner there, I wouldn't be on my phone so much.
Exactly. Other than that, I feel like I'm quite good. I feel like with cleanliness and things like that, I'm quite good with that. Dinner, I've started making smaller portions, because I used to make massive portions, and now, because I feel like as well, if there's leftovers in my fridge, I'll just eat it. Yeah. So I make the smallest portion stuff, because I just don't trust myself. I think, or like making it, sometimes I can't be bothered to cook, so it's like the most boring dishes. So I don't know really. Yeah, I'd say the scrolling's probably the worst, like the winding down, like having a routine of being disciplined when it comes to work has been the hardest thing. We need to start doing our dinner dates again. We haven't done those in a while.
We haven't.
We need to do a cooking.
Yeah, we haven't. We need to do that.
Maybe if we've got a bottle of wine, we can...
Maybe we do one tonight.
Well, if you need me to drink this wine, I'll happily help.
We should do a nighttime podcast where we drink wine and just dish the dirt on stuff.
There's us like, we need to wind down. Let's work tonight. No working.
Not necessarily tonight. I need to let's do summertime, because that's when all the juicy stuff happens. That's when all the trips happen. And
I feel like it'd be really nice. You know, we like to get little mics and sit in the park. Yeah. And we can just like watch the world and just...
Yeah, that would be fun.
Do a little gossip on that.
I also find it funny how, you know, like how we always want what we don't have. So how we're like, oh, it would be nice to live with someone, and I can't wait for that moment. And then there's our friends that have lived with their partners for years, and they're like, what I would do to have a night alone.
Oh my god, literally. I remember one of my girls, she did stay at mine when I was away, because one of her boyfriends, her boyfriend had friends round, and she was like, can I just come and stay at yours? And I let her stay at mine,
nice.
And she just got a takeaway, and she was like,
oh my god,
lovely.
It's like a 5-star hotel as well.
I literally felt like a little hotel. I was like, this is stunning.
I do love it when my friends come around. I'm like, extra toothbrushes, what do you want?
I do love it. I do think we are very fortunate, but I guess both have pros and cons. Yeah. And
that's why I think it's really important to go through those steps of like living with your girlfriends, living alone, and then living with a partner, because now hopefully when I do meet a partner and I move in with them,
you will enjoy it, be grateful
I'll
for
enjoy
that
it,
time.
and I'll be like, I won't be lusting after, oh, I wish I lived alone, or I wish I lived with my girlfriends, because I've done it.
I think that living with friends is so different to living with the one. I feel like when you find like the one, I think you'll just be so excited to live with them and want to live with them.
As long as they put the toilet seat down.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it'll be different to our exes, like because clearly they weren't the ones.
No,
like
they weren't.
it will just be so
they definitely weren't.
natural. So I think whatever situation you're in right now, embrace it, enjoy it, and just see the light and positivity in every aspect. Amen. A woman.
So if you do live alone, we've got a few things that you can do to keep yourself occupied. One of them is solo dating, which we've both done. Amelia's done one recently. You did a really cute one, didn't you, in the daytime?
Yeah, I'm new to the solo dates, and I really would love to take myself to dinner one night. Like maybe if I'm at an event and I'm in central London and I just want to go and sit at Saucony's, but I know you'd be furious.
You'd be like, why didn't you invite me?
But I've never done like in Harrods dining hall. Somewhere by, we love a countertop. But the other day...
You might look a little bit suspect if you went to Chiconi's by yourself and sat at the bar.
I know. A lot goes on around
You might get a few people asking for your business card.
But do you know what? The waiters know us, so I feel like we'll be fine there. But yeah, on Saturday, I took myself on a solo date for a yoga class and a breakfast, because I've always wanted to go to this cafe in South Ken called Teas. And I just and then I went to the farmer's market, and it was just so nice. And that was my first time doing a solo date. It was really lovely. It is funny because you do it like, you kind of romanticize how it's going to go in your head and how lovely it's going to be. And then you're just eating on your own, and you're just like,
what now? Because you should, if you do a solo date, you shouldn't really go on your phone, because I think it defeats the purpose.
My mum.
Yeah, like
hi, Mom.
sit there and like have a conversation with a friend or something, or like people watch.
Be
in the moment.
I saw when I was in Copenhagen with our letter, there was one girl I literally not admired, like idolized, or was like, wow, I really want to do that.
Okay.
Where she sat at the bar and she had her headphones in, had a glass of wine and a glass of pasta, and it just
glass of pasta,
a bowl of pasta, and it just looked incredible. Like she was listening to a podcast probably. Like I want to make sure that when I do a solo date, I'm not going with a laptop or.
So there you go, guys. Take yourself on a solo date and listen to the Wearing My Money podcast.
Yeah, listen to our podcast, even if it's just to go for coffee and a walk. Yeah, do that. But also as well, I think it's really good to go to new classes. Yeah. Find people like-minded and meet up with them. Because that's what we've done. And yeah, obviously I know our job is very social, and I think that's why I think we enjoy living on our own, because we are talking consistently to people, like in the events, to meetings, to each other, to the camera, to the podcast, to Instagram, to TikTok. And then we get to go home and just be like,
silence.
Silence.
Yeah.
It's lovely. What other solo dates have you done?
I've done the cinema. I think that's a really good one, because that's like you're not on your phone and you're in the moment and you're just there.
That's a really good one.
I wouldn't recommend doing it if you like recently broken up with a partner, because there's a lot of couples in a cinema. I was sandwiched between two couples.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was like, it's fine, I'll just hug the pillow. But that was fun. Yeah, I just think anything like going for a walk, dinners, lunches, like you said, yoga classes.
Even just like cook for yourself, like a pamper night at home, like
pour yourself a glass of wine. Yeah. Treat yourself, like you said, to a nice piece of meat or fish that you would ordinarily maybe save for if you're having dinner with a partner.
Yeah, get those olives and snacks and dessert and all those little bits and bobs. I do that on a Sunday. I like when I go and get like because sometimes I make a roast for one. Bless myself. But I would go and get some chocolate after, like what you would usually do with friends or your partner. I just go and do that on a Sunday, and I love it. Yeah,
I think it's important not to forget to treat yourself and look after yourself when you live alone.
Definitely, because that can go out the window for sure.
So our final conclusion about living alone is to embrace it, because you never know when you're going to get this opportunity again.
Exactly, and it's just, I mean, if you can do it, and everyone has different circumstances why they're living alone, and a lot of the time it can be kind of a negative reason why you're living alone. But embrace it, like enjoy it and have fun with it. Or you may be going to a different country and working in a different country. Like go and just do whatever you want, and I think that's the beauty of it. You're not thinking about someone else, you're thinking about just yourself, and I think that's actually quite beautiful and a very lucky thing to do.
And don't let fear stop you from making that move, because you got this, sis.
You got this, sis. And just enjoy it, and just, I think, take a step back and remember. I feel like even this episode for me has been quite
therapeutic.
Yeah, to be like, Amelia, this is incredible. How nice is this? You live on your own. Like, what a wonderful world you live in. I mean, I can't wait to have a partner, but like, it's incredible. It's wonderful to be able to live on our own.
And it is. And we're very lucky that we're neighbours. That's just a bit of a Brucey bonus
that was a cherry.
The universe has served us.
The universe served us very well. I had angels. Look, this was the first place I looked at, and then I got this neighbour.
I don't know where the angels are, because I'm the devil.
Yeah, the angels gave me the apartment, and it was like, well, you can't have the best of both worlds, so here's a devil. But a good devil on the shoulder. I feel like
devil's always fun.
I feel like we're very yin and yang, and we've given each other lessons, or life lessons, and very grateful.
Okay, guys. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you so much for listening or watching. It really supports, and also as well, thank you so much for all the comments we're getting, honestly.
I know. It's been so great.
We've been screenshotting them just to like remember them, because it's just been, sometimes I feel like it's a bit of an imposter syndrome that actually people listen. And also as well, apologies for the previous episode not going live on time. We've had a bit of a situation with Spotify.
But it went on YouTube, the Spotify, we don't know what's going on. Yeah. We're not great at the tech stuff, so bear with us. I also have a bit of a cold, so I'm so sorry if I sound like I have a blocked nose, because I do.
Do you know what will sort that out? Bath and wine.
Oh yeah. Is it too early to open the wine now? It's 3:30. It's fine. Fancy a glass?
Yeah, go on then.
Bye guys.
Pop it open, honey.